Capricorn, listen closely, because what I'm about to say will shake you to your core. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning, stepping outside, and seeing a brand new house waiting for you. Imagine a car fresh, untouchable, spotless, parked in the driveway with keys that belong only to you. Not a dream, not a fantasy, but a gift straight from the hand of God. This October, a divine transaction is set to take place in your life, and if you can feel the weight of these words in your spirit right now, I want you to declare it boldly in the comments. I claim it. Do not scroll past. Do not remain silent. Your words are a seed, and when you type those words, you're aligning with the prophecy being released over your life in this moment. Subscribe and stay connected, because blessings like this are too great to slip away. This is not entertainment. This is divine alignment. You see, Capricorn, your story has never been an easy one. You've climbed mountains others would have fallen from. You've carried burdens that would have crushed weaker shoulders. You've been through nights where nobody saw your tears, and mornings where you rose up and still kept moving even though you felt like the world had broken you. Yet somehow, you always get back up. This resilience, this strength, this patience, it has marked you. And just as Abraham once walked into unknown lands with nothing but God's promise echoing in his ears, you have been walking with faith even when your pockets were empty, even when your heart was heavy. Abraham had no map, no assurance, no evidence. Yet God told him, "Look up, for the land you see I will give to you and your descendants." That land was the beginning of wealth, property, legacy. Just like Abraham, you are about to walk into territory that will bear your name, and it will begin with a house you did not struggle to build, and a car you did not break your back to buy. But don't think for a moment that this is random. Destiny always leaves patterns, breadcrumbs in history that show us how God works. Do you know the story of Oprah Winfrey? She was born into poverty in rural Mississippi, wearing dresses made from potato sacks, facing abuse and rejection before the world ever knew her name. But through persistence and favor, her story flipped. She didn't just buy one home. She bought estates worth millions, cars that symbolized her rise, and properties so large they looked like kingdoms. What does this mean for you, Capricorn? It means that where you begin doesn't dictate where you end. Poverty doesn't chain a Capricorn forever. Hardship doesn't mark the end of the story. If Oprah could rise from nothing to owning everything, how much more can God do for you, the one who has been faithful, the one who has endured long nights of lack? History repeats itself, Capricorn. Look at the Great Depression. In the 1930s, millions lost everything: homes, farms, savings. But in the middle of that chaos, there were families who remained disciplined, who didn't spend recklessly, who held on to vision. Those families bought lands, houses, and properties at almost nothing because everyone else was giving up. Today, their children and grandchildren are still reaping the wealth of decisions made back then. Discipline and faith create wealth that outlives you. Capricorns are born with this ability. You endure storms, but when others fall apart, you rise because you know how to wait, how to survive, how to keep your eyes fixed on the future. And October carries the same energy, a shift where what others abandoned will be placed into your hands. But let me ask you this. If God were to hand you the keys to a new house tomorrow, would you be ready to receive it? If the call came that your name has been chosen, your papers approved, your door opened, would you even believe it's real? You see, blessings don't come when we expect them. Joseph was locked in prison for years, forgotten, abandoned. But in a single day, listen carefully, a single day Pharaoh sent for him. Joseph not only left prison, but he was dressed in fine linen, given Pharaoh's ring, and made to ride in the second chariot. In today's terms, Joseph went from chains to a car, from a dungeon to authority, from forgotten to celebrated. That's how God works. One day you're surviving, the next day you're sitting in a new car with your name on the registration. Capricorn, you have always been the one to endure silently. Others may complain, but you keep working. Others may give up, but you keep climbing. That silent endurance is why your blessing will be loud. And it's not just about possessions. It's about restoration. It's about God saying, "You carried the burden long enough, now I'm rewarding you with rest." A home is not just a roof, it's a place of rest. A car is not just a vehicle, it's a symbol of movement, progress, new journeys. October is the month your rest and your movement collide. I know some of you listening right now have been in situations that feel unbearable. Maybe you've been renting for years, handing money to landlords month after month, praying for a place of your own. Maybe you've been walking, borrowing rides, or driving a car that constantly breaks down, embarrassed when it stalls in front of others. Maybe you've been mocked for not having the things others flaunt. But let me tell you a true story. There was a woman who worked in a small office for over 12 years. She was faithful, always on time, always diligent, but she struggled financially. She lived in a rented apartment, never imagining she could own a home. Then one day, out of nowhere, her boss, who had never shown much interest in her personal life, called her in. He told her he was retiring, moving abroad and leaving his house behind. Instead of selling it, he gave it to her as a gift, saying he felt she deserved it more than anyone. Imagine the shock. Imagine the tears. For years she thought her labor was invisible, but in one moment, God turned labor into inheritance. Capricorn, don't you see? The house you think you could never afford, the car you think is out of reach, is already being prepared with your name on it. And this is why I'm telling you, type "I claim it" in the comments right now. Subscribe, stay connected, because when you speak it out, you're planting a seed into your destiny. The more you engage, the more you remind your own spirit that you are ready for this shift. This isn't about likes or numbers, it's about agreement. When you agree, the heavens agree. But hear what makes October so different. Think of Steve Harvey. For years, he was homeless, sleeping in his car, washing up in public bathrooms. People laughed at him, mocked his dreams, yet he refused to give up. He trusted his gift, kept moving, and then his breakthrough came. Today, he owns multiple homes and drives cars most people only dream of. He often says, if you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. Capricorn. The reason October is set apart is because you've already paid the price in patience, in pain, in endurance. God is saying, now you will hold in your hand what you've only seen in your mind. But let me press deeper. October is not just a calendar month, it is a divine season. In biblical times, harvest always came in seasons. You didn't reap in winter, you reaped in the right time. For you, Capricorn, this October is your season of harvest. The seeds of tears, the seeds of sacrifice, the seeds of labor you planted are finally producing fruit. And God doesn't give small fruit. He gives pressed down, shaken together, running over. When he blesses, it overwhelms. That's why it won't just be one blessing, it'll be two. A home and a car, rest and movement, shelter and progress. But let me leave you with this thought. Have you noticed how often in your life, blessings come after your breaking point? Just when you feel you cannot take it anymore, something shifts. It's because pressure always precedes release. Diamonds are only formed under pressure. Capricorns, you are the diamonds of the zodiac, pressed, buried, ignored, but about to shine so brightly that no one can deny your worth. This October, the pressure breaks. The release begins. The house, the car, the blessing, it's not coming. It's here. And yet the greatest truth is still hidden, because there is something deeper about this blessing that most won't see until it's revealed. A secret that has been moving silently behind the scenes, preparing to rewrite your life story forever. Capricorn, I need you to listen with the deepest part of your spirit, because what is happening in your life right now is not coincidence, it is not chance, and it is not ordinary. October has been set apart as a month of divine alignment, and whether you realize it or not, everything you have gone through, every sleepless night, every unanswered prayer, every silent tear has been building up to this moment. Before I speak deeper, I want you to pause for a second and declare your faith publicly. If you believe this word is for you, type in the comments right now, "This is my time." Do not hesitate, do not scroll, do not stay silent, because silence in this moment is agreement with delay, but when you speak, when you engage, you are aligning your spirit with what heaven is already writing about your future. Subscribe and stay connected here, because there are truths being revealed that can shift not just this month, but the rest of your life. Think about it, Capricorn. Why has your life felt like an endless waiting game? Why have blessings for others seemed to come so quickly, but for you, everything feels delayed? It is because your life follows a different pattern, a divine pattern. You were never meant for the quick fixes and easy rewards that disappear overnight. Your story has always been about building something permanent, something that can never be shaken, something that others cannot take away. This is why when you lose, you don't lose small, you lose big. And when you win, you don't win small. You win in a way that everyone around you knows it had to be God. Let's look at Joseph. Locked in prison, accused of crimes he never committed, abandoned by those who once called him family. For years he waited in a dungeon, his dreams mocked, his gift forgotten. But here's the truth, destiny is not delayed, it's preserved. The reason it took so long was because his breakthrough wasn't going to be small. When the moment came, Joseph didn't just get released from prison. He didn't just get pardoned. He was lifted to stand before Pharaoh, given authority over the entire nation, and placed in a chariot. Understand this, he didn't just walk out, he rode out. In today's world, that is the equivalent of someone going from being broke and overlooked to being handed the keys to a luxury car and a house of influence in one single day. That's how quickly God shifts things when your appointed time arrives. And here is where it gets more personal. Capricorn, your life has mirrored Joseph's in so many ways. Haven't you felt betrayed by people you trusted? Haven't you been put in situations where you paid the price for things that were not your fault? Haven't you wondered why it feels like your efforts go unseen while others who do half as much seem to shine brighter? It's because you are being preserved for a specific season. And that season is not next year, not far away, but now, October. But let me tell you a real-life story. There was a man who lived in Lagos, Nigeria. For years he worked tirelessly, but his income was just enough to cover food and rent. He often dreamed of owning a car, something to make his life easier, something to save his family from struggling in the heat and traffic. Yet every time he saved a little, an emergency would wipe it away. People around him laughed, said he would never rise above his situation. But one October, an old friend he hadn't seen in years returned from abroad. They reconnected, and without him even asking, this friend handed him the keys to a brand new car, saying, "I just felt God tell me you needed this more than I do." His story shocked everyone because he had been overlooked for so long. That's what happens when destiny unlocks. When it is your time, the blessing will find you. Capricorn, that is the kind of story being written for you now. And I know you may be skeptical, but think of Steve Harvey. Homeless, living in his car, washing up in public restrooms. Nobody believed in him, nobody thought he would make it. But he kept pushing, kept trusting the gift inside him. Today he doesn't just own cars, he owns mansions. He went from humiliation to honor, from ridicule to riches. Why? Because his destiny followed the same pattern as Joseph's: delay, pain, endurance, then sudden elevation. And this is exactly where you stand. But let me ask you something, Capricorn. Why does October carry this energy for you? Why not January? Why not July? The truth is hidden in the patterns of cycles. In ancient times, farmers didn't harvest whenever they wanted. They had to wait for the appointed season, when the rains had done their work, when the seeds had matured. This is your harvest season. October carries a vibration of completion, of fulfillment, of rewards. It is the 10th month, and 10 in biblical terms symbolizes divine order and testimony. This is the month when God brings things full circle, when testimonies are birthed. You have walked through 9 months of labor, and now the birth is here. The new home is not just a roof, it is your place of rest. The new car is not just transport, it is your movement into destiny. I want you to think about how many times you've wanted to give up, how many times you've told yourself, maybe it's not meant for me. Yet somehow you keep going. Do you think that's by accident? No, that resilience is proof that you are being preserved for more. Capricorn energy is about climbing mountains that seem impossible, and right when you are about to reach the peak, the wind tries to push you down. But in October, the mountain shifts, and suddenly you find yourself standing on top. That is why you cannot stop listening, cannot stop declaring. If you believe this word is for you, type "I am ready" in the comments. Say it, because your spirit must agree before your eyes see it. Another story I must share is about a young woman in Atlanta. For years, she worked 2 jobs, struggling to make ends meet. She had dreams of owning a home, but her credit was bad, her finances unstable, and she was told over and over it would never happen. But she never stopped working, never stopped dreaming. Then one October, her boss unexpectedly promoted her to a higher position with double her pay. Within the same month, a program she didn't even know existed approved her for a home she thought was out of reach. Today she lives in that home, driving a car she never imagined she could afford. She often says, "It happened when I least expected, but exactly when I needed it." Capricorn, that's how blessings appear. Not when you're chasing them, but when you're prepared by endurance, when you've proven faithful with little. And maybe you're listening and thinking, "But I don't have anyone to help me, I don't have connections." That doesn't matter. Joseph had no one. Steve Harvey had no one. That woman in Atlanta had no one. They all had one thing: divine timing. October is your divine timing. God is not limited by who you know. He is moved by your endurance and your faith. Think also of history. After the Second World War, when nations were in ruins, properties abandoned, and chaos reigned, There were those who had nothing during the war but were prepared when the dust settled. They stepped into abandoned properties, rebuilt broken lands, and their families still live off that wealth today. It wasn't luck. It was timing, discipline, and readiness. Capricorn, you have been disciplined in silence. Now the timing is aligning with you. The blessing others overlooked is the one you are about to inherit. But here's the mystery. Why do so many Capricorns experience delay before breakthrough? Why does it seem like you must suffer longer, wait harder, cry deeper? Because your blessing is not ordinary. Ordinary blessings come quickly but vanish quickly. Extraordinary blessings take longer because they are designed to last. God doesn't just want to give you a car. He wants to give you keys that open doors to more cars. He doesn't just want to give you a house. He wants to give you property that outlives you, that carries your name long after you are gone. This is why your waiting has been painful, but your reward will be permanent. But here is the question lingering in the spirit. What makes October the doorway for this? What hidden law is at work that shifts everything in your favor now after all these years of endurance? And what must you do to hold the key so that this blessing is not delayed again? The answer is closer than you think, but not everyone will see it when it comes. Capricorn, there are moments in life when everything shifts, moments when it feels as if the entire universe has been silently rearranging itself for years just to bring you into alignment with what was already yours. And October is carrying that weight for you right now. If you are hearing these words, understand this is not by chance. This is not entertainment. This is destiny speaking to you. And before I go deeper, I want you to declare your faith out loud and in the comments below. Type the words "I am ready to receive." Do it now, because every word you release into the atmosphere becomes a seed. Your engagement, your action, is a sign that you are not just listening, you are activating. Subscribe, stay connected here, because blessings this specific, this detailed, this prophetic, are not meant to pass you by. Capricorn, I want you to think about something. Have you ever noticed how sometimes life takes something from you so painfully, only for something better to come later? That is because in order for divine transfer to happen, something must shift hands. Houses, cars, wealth, opportunities, they do not disappear, they are transferred. When one person loses what they could not handle, it becomes prepared for the one who has been proven faithful. The Bible confirms this. In Deuteronomy 6:10-11, God told the Israelites that they would live in houses filled with good things they did not build, drink from wells they did not dig, eat from vineyards they did not plant. What does that mean? It means that blessings are already waiting, built and prepared by others, only for you to inherit at the right time. And Capricorn, your right time is now. Let me tell you a true story of a man from Kenya. He had struggled for years, working as a teacher with little pay. He lived in a small, rundown house with his family, barely managing to cover food and school fees. Yet he was faithful, never complained, never gave up. One day, a wealthy businessman who had once been his student returned to the village. Out of gratitude for the man's teaching years ago, he bought him a house in the city and a car to go with it. The teacher wept because all those years he thought his labor was unnoticed, but destiny had been storing his reward. Capricorn, the same pattern is woven into your life. What you thought was ignored, what you thought was wasted, is about to return multiplied. Think about history. After wars, after revolutions, after collapses, properties and lands change ownership. Those who endure, those who stand ready, inherit what others abandon. After the fall of the Berlin Wall, properties that had been under strict regimes suddenly became available. Ordinary people who were prepared at that moment stepped into wealth that changed their families forever. Timing is everything. And right now, October is your moment of timing. Everything you've endured, every sacrifice, every delay has been preparing you for this divine exchange. But what makes you different, Capricorn, is your discipline. You don't chase after every trend. You don't run wildly without focus. You are patient, cautious, strategic, and that is why you are trusted with more. God does not hand over houses and cars to those who will waste them, who will flaunt them without understanding the weight of stewardship. He hands them over to the ones who have proven they can carry the burden. And haven't you carried burdens for years? Haven't you proven that you can hold the weight of responsibility? That is why the blessing is coming to you. Another real-life story, Tyler Perry. For years, he was homeless, living in his car. People mocked him, told him his plays would never succeed. He had nothing, yet he kept creating, kept pushing, kept believing. And when his moment came, it came suddenly. Today, he owns a studio worth hundreds of millions, multiple homes, and luxury cars. He went from sleeping in the driver's seat of a beat-up vehicle to having drivers of his own. That is the pattern of divine exchange. Capricorn, that is the shift you are standing on right now. But let me take you even deeper. Do you know why you have often felt overlooked? Why others seem to be celebrated while your work is ignored? It is because your story has been designed for greater glory. If you had received your blessing too early, you would have settled for less. You might have thought that one small house or one small car was all you could ever have. But God delayed it, not to deny you, but to multiply the scale. When your blessing comes, it won't just be one small thing. It will be overwhelming, undeniable, something even your enemies cannot ignore. Capricorn, your life is about legacy. You don't just want things for yourself. You want something that can remain for your children, for generations to come. That's why your blessing is not just about comfort, it's about inheritance. The house you are about to receive is not just a place to sleep. It is a home to pass down, a foundation for your family. The car you are about to receive is not just for transportation. It is a symbol of progress, of freedom, of movement into new seasons. Now let's go deeper into the psychological truth of your journey. You've been carrying heavy burdens for so long that you have become numb to desire. You've told yourself, maybe I don't need it, maybe I don't deserve it, maybe it's not for me. But that is the trick of delay. It makes you doubt your worth. Yet here you are, still breathing, still listening, still holding on. That alone is proof that you are chosen. Because if you weren't chosen, you would have been destroyed by the weight of your trials long ago. Here another true story. A woman in Canada worked for a wealthy family as a nanny for almost 2 decades. She lived in a small rented space, struggling to support her own children while raising someone else. But she was faithful, loyal, and trusted. When the family moved abroad, they shocked her by signing over one of their homes to her and giving her a car. She wept, because after years of thinking she had no inheritance, suddenly God gave her more than she dreamed. Capricorn, you may feel like that woman, serving others, helping others, being faithful with little, while wondering if your time will ever come. But October is shouting loudly, your time has come. But let me challenge you, Capricorn. Do you recognize the key when it's handed to you? Blessings don't always arrive wrapped in gold. Sometimes they come disguised as opportunities, as sudden connections, as shifts that don't look like blessings at first. Joseph was taken from prison to stand before Pharaoh. That didn't look like a blessing, it looked like another test. But it was the doorway. Tyler Perry's car was his shame before it became his story of victory. The teacher in Kenya never imagined his student would one day buy him a house. That nanny never imagined the family she served would become her blessing. Can you see the hand of God when it shows up in ways you weren't expecting? That is the question you must wrestle with now. Capricorn, type in the comments, I see the signs, if you are ready to recognize the blessing when it comes. Don't just listen passively. Every engagement you make is a declaration that you are not asleep, you are not blind, you are awake to destiny. Subscribe and stay with me here, because the deepest truths are only just beginning to unfold. Because here is the mystery. You think this blessing is just about you, but it's not. This is about something far greater. It's about divine transfer, about inheritance, about shifting wealth from those who misused it into the hands of those who will honor it. And you, Capricorn, have been chosen for this role. But there is still one hidden truth, one key that unlocks everything. And without it, even the blessing prepared for you can slip away. The question is, will you find the key before the door closes? Capricorn, listen closely, because what I am about to say is not random. It is speaking directly into your life. And if you're hearing this right now, it means the heavens have aligned for you. October is not just another month for you, it is a prophetic shift. You have been overlooked, underestimated, and underappreciated, but the spirit of destiny has chosen you for a breakthrough that will silence every voice of doubt. I'm not here to entertain you, I'm here to confirm what your soul already knows deep down, that a house you didn't build and a car you didn't buy is about to be placed into your hands. Before I go deeper, stop for a second, press like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment I receive it, because by declaring it, you're putting your faith into action. When you engage with this message, you're planting a seed that connects your belief with the prophetic word being released right now. Don't just watch, participate, because your engagement is a form of agreement, and agreement multiplies blessings. Now think about your life recently. You've been carrying burdens that no one sees, smiling on the outside while inside you're wondering when it will be your turn. You've been the one people run to when they need strength, but when you're weak, who do you run to? You've been saving, sacrificing, and trying to make ends meet, and every time it looks like you're close, something unexpected comes to take it all away. But this October, that cycle is breaking. There's a divine reset being orchestrated. Do you remember how Joseph in the Bible was betrayed by his brothers, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, and imprisoned unjustly, yet in one single moment, the king sent for him and he was elevated to the palace? That's what October holds for you, a palace moment, when God will take you from overlooked to overblessed, from empty hands to holding the keys of what belongs to you. There's a reason you're hearing this. When the Israelites were wandering in the wilderness, they had no homes, no stability, no rest. But when their time came, God led them into a land flowing with milk and honey and gave them houses filled with good things they didn't even build. That is the word for you, Capricorn. You've been wandering, feeling unsettled, but now God says, I will settle you. And not just in any place, but in a space that will make people's mouths drop when they see it. You've been renting, borrowing, and struggling, but October will mark the beginning of ownership. Let me tell you a story. A woman named Patricia from Georgia worked 3 jobs just to survive. She had been renting the same small apartment for years, praying for a change but never seeing results. Her credit was low, her bank account almost always empty. One day she stumbled across a prophetic message, just like you are right now. The word said, within 90 days, you will receive keys to a house you did not buy. She laughed at first, thinking it was impossible. But she decided to claim it, to believe it, and she wrote the words, my new home, on a sticky note and placed it on her bedroom wall. 2 months later, her employer, without warning, promoted her to a new position with a significant pay raise. A week later, a family friend who had been moving out of state called her and said, I want you to have my house. I've already spoken with the bank, and they've agreed to transfer the mortgage to your name at half the cost. Today, Patricia owns a beautiful 3-bedroom house with a backyard. She said, it wasn't the money, it wasn't luck, it was God's timing. That same anointing that visited her is about to visit you. Capricorn, have you noticed that lately the people around you seem to be moving forward while you're still waiting? That's because your blessing is not going to be like theirs, it's going to be greater. Delays in your life were not denials, they were setups for something bigger. Think about Oprah Winfrey. Before she became one of the wealthiest women in the world, she was fired from her first TV job. They told her she wasn't fit for television. But what people meant for rejection, God turned into redirection. She went from being a small-town reporter to owning her own network, her own homes, and living a life beyond imagination. The same God that turned rejection into redirection for Oprah is about to turn your struggles into testimonies. And it's not just about material things, it's about what the house and car represent. They represent stability, freedom, movement, and security. When God gives you a house, He's giving you rest. When He gives you a car, He's giving you acceleration. You won't just sit in one place anymore, you'll move into new levels, new opportunities, and new circles. A car means forward motion, no more stagnation. A house means foundation, no more instability. This October is not about you just receiving blessings. It's about God repositioning your entire life. I want to share another true story. There was a man named Michael who lived in Lagos, Nigeria. He was a taxi driver, hustling day and night to feed his family. His car was old, constantly breaking down, and one night he prayed, God, I'm tired, I need a miracle. A few days later, a wealthy passenger got into his cab and noticed the condition of his car. The man asked Michael about his life, his struggles, his dreams. Without saying much, Michael just said, I want to give my children a better life. The passenger got out, handed him a card and said, call me tomorrow. Michael called, not expecting much. That man turned out to be the CEO of a major company. Within a week, he gifted Michael a brand new car and offered him a job in his company as a driver with a steady salary. Michael later said, that wasn't just kindness, it was God. Just as God arranged that divine encounter for him, He is arranging one for you. Capricorn, this is why you need to stay connected to this channel. Don't just pass by this message. Hit that subscribe button, click the notification bell, and declare in the comments, I claim my keys. Because when you declare it publicly, you're not just making a statement, you're making a covenant. Remember the story of Joshua and the Israelites. God told them to march around the walls of Jericho and shout. That shout was their public declaration of faith, and it brought the walls down. Your comment, your like, your share, that is your shout, your declaration that you believe what is being spoken. And when you do it, something in the spiritual realm begins to move in your favor. Some of you have been seeing signs already. Dreams about keys, visions of cars, moments where you stumble upon conversations about houses or cars out of nowhere. These aren't coincidences, they are confirmations. God has been whispering to you, preparing your spirit for what's coming. You've had setbacks that made you cry yourself to sleep, bills that overwhelmed you, people who promised to help but never came through. But October is the month when God says, enough. This is the month when your faith meets fulfillment. And here's the most prophetic part of this. The blessing is not going to come the way you expect. It won't be through the channels you're used to. Just like David, who was tending sheep when the prophet Samuel anointed him king, your blessing will find you while you're in the middle of your ordinary routine. You might be at work, at home, or even watching a video like this, and suddenly, news will come that shifts everything. But before it happens, you must prepare yourself. You cannot step into a new house with an old mindset. You cannot drive a new car while still holding on to the fears of the past. That's why this word is reaching you now, to prepare your heart for ownership, for responsibility, for expansion. God is not just giving you things, He is expanding your capacity. You're going to have to think bigger, believe stronger, and walk bolder. Capricorn, this is the hour where every tear you've cried is being counted, every sleepless night is being remembered, and every sacrifice you've made is being honored. The heavens are aligning in your favor, and what's about to drop into your life will be so big, so undeniable, that people will ask you, how did this happen? And your answer will be simple, it was God. But even as I say this, there's something deeper, something greater, something more powerful that I haven't told you yet, and it's about to unfold in a way that will leave you speechless. Because the blessing coming to you this October isn't just about cars and houses, it's about destiny itself, and the revelation of that destiny is about to come into full view in a way you never expected.